Today we will talk about a mother of jinn who stole her daughter, and after 20 years, he returns her so that the jinn can be possessed by her and exploit other people to transfer the jinn to them and return her daughter to her normal state. The film begins with a woman who is her infant daughter, but suddenly something strange appears to her and kills her. Her husband is not there and finds her murdered. He takes the child and puts her in front of an orphanage. The director of the orphanage looks for the child's voice and finds her there. She takes her and enters, and we see the man returning and burying the blanket after she died and putting strange things in front of her and claiming that he's closing the door between them and the jinn. After that, we see the director of the orphanage follow Asma Zahida. She decides to keep the child with her and raise her and name her. After a year, we see that Burju has grown up and has become mentally ill. We see that the girl Cobra came to an orphanage that belongs to the residence of her father's students. Cobra takes her and sees Burju standing at the window looking at her. We see Asma's daughter, Asma, taking the food but throws 8 food items in her face. Asma immediately comes out and runs out of the room. She hears her voice and goes to her immediately. The general secretary tells her father that this is the voice of Burju, the daughter of the principal, Zahida, but she suffers from some disorders. Cobra says goodbye to her father, and a woman named Shukran comes and shows her the place where she's sitting. She sees the room and takes her to her room. As soon as they enter, they find 2 girls fighting. When they ask them what happened, Funda asks her that Kasiya stole the money from her. Asma comes and stands next to Funda, and they enter the punishment room. We see all the girls in the room following Cobra's phone in a way, except for a girl named Nadine who sits with Cobra, and they start talking together. And Cobra tells her about the X-rays and that she studies nursing and that her mother died 2 years ago. When Cobra asks him about the room, he takes her harshly and tells her that this actress, the punishment room, is a very terrifying painting, and whoever enters it turns out not to be normal. At this time, we see Shukran performing rituals and talking to the jinn and asking him, but he returns not to harm anyone. In her room, she starts to convulse and scream, and Cobra smiles and gets up, but she doesn't find any of her daughters in the room. She turns to them. Suddenly, a surprise appears. Cobra gets very scared and falls to the ground. Suddenly, she finds the girls laughing and telling her that they're playing a prank on her. When they hear Shukran's voice coming, they all return to their places. Cobra says, "Thank you for everything you." She says to her, "Thank you. Inu will punish them all in the morning." But Cobra tells her that before the girls watch her, she sees something strange and then digs in the ground. The next morning, when they're eating, she throws the food helicopter at Cobra. But Cobra doesn't talk or respond to her. Nareen comes and apologizes to Cobra for following Sareem yesterday. She tells her that she should be with the girl. Wada is afraid of Funda and that they do this to any new girl. When Cobra goes to the laundry room to wash her dishes, suddenly, Ayad comes out of the washing machine. She pulls her while she screams and shouts until she comes. Asma on her voice. So she takes her to the directorate, Zahida, and tells her what happened. Zahida notices that there are signs of her goals, so she says that she is acting on this matter. And when she enters the bathroom, she starts hearing strange sounds of the bathroom. And when she looks out from under the bathroom door, you find a man rushing, and she immediately leaves while she advances and goes and directs her father to come and take her from the residence immediately. But he tells her that he will not find any residence for her to stay in. She will find, if she returns to him, her influence to learn and get married, because he cannot ask for her allowance. After she hangs up, she finds the one she loves in the punishment room in front of her, and her various shapes and colors. The effect of that in the library, to read a book to amuse herself. But soon, she finds a book that fell by itself. She takes the book and starts reading it about the jinn, and it is written in a strange language and she cannot read it. Then, the ghost of Baja appears behind her, and he tells her in Nadine's voice, and he asks her what she's doing, and Cobra asked her about the book she has. A strange letter arrived, and she couldn't read it. But Camille sees Nadine coming from outside, and she gets very scared when she sees her and is surprised by the voice that could be her. She hears a strange voice coming from outside. She doesn't go out to approach Brigeau's room. When she opens the door of the room, she finds either her cover or doctors performing an operation. They go out and start screaming, "Don't be too afraid," and go out immediately. She comes back after hearing her voice. When she opens the room, she doesn't find anything. I don't find anything either. She goes to Zahida immediately and tells her that they found her and that they see the old woman walking alone and go to a place and start digging in it. They follow her and show her to her room in a residence. The girls are staying up late. They hear the sound of a room door opening. She tells them that every night the jinn visit Brigeau and tells them that 4 years ago when she came to the residence, they brought a sheikh to expel the jinn that was controlling Rojo. Indeed, the sheikh was able to get out of heaven. She entered with another girl in the residence. The girl woke up at night and started to disappear during her friend's free time. She decided for herself that time would be Cobra. She heard them all talk and was very afraid to terrify her. She got up scared and got angry at Funda and hit her. We saw a terrifying creature in front of her. She started to convulse. We saw Funda attacking Cobra and starting to strangle her. She felt as if someone was strangling her. What is happening to her is what is happening to Cobra. Shukran comes to the girls after she heard their voices, and Funda tells her that strange things have been happening to her since Cobra came to the room. She goes to get the book and finds Cobra in the library. Shukran directs her. They take Cobra to the punishment room. When they close the door on her, she goes out. She starts pointing at a group of people standing. Suddenly she finds herself and the wonders around her. She finds a grave in front of her and a voice coming from it. So she starts digging in it. Suddenly she comes out of the grave and starts pulling her. Cobra tries to resist her. Then she finds herself back in the room and sees a terrifying creature in front of her. Then it appears increasingly and starts to scare her. She sees Cobra waking up scared, and it's all just a terrifying nightmare. Nadine comes to her and tells her Cobra after she saw him in the dream. Nadine tells her that she really entered the punishment room yesterday night, and they definitely took her out of the room and brought her to her bed. Here, and Shukran sees. She gives Imtiaz the book Tawat found with Cobra, and as soon as he sees the book, he is shocked. He tells her that every time they try to get the jinn out of their faces, the jinn gets weaker and leaves her body. When he is able to get out of the body with the body of another girl who is in the same place, then they go to the punishment room where Cobra was. They find her writing strange deeds and spells on the wall. When Cobra is eating, she eats in a strange way and comes and starts mocking and bullying her and says Cobra in a low voice, "I will kill you all." She is in her room, convulsing and suffocating. Suddenly, she notices that something is coming out of her and entering Cobra's body. Cobra starts screaming. Plates in front of all the girls are raised in the air. They all get scared and run away immediately. Then they bring a doctor to examine Cobra and does not find anything wrong with her. Asma enters when they continue to hold her hand and starts pulling her and saying, "I am thirsty." Asma gets scared and pulls her, and otherwise immediately. Asma goes immediately to Zahida and tells her that she has started crying again. So they go to her and see if she has returned to normal or left her. At night we see that all the girls came out of the room, afraid of Cobra, and they launched a bomb under it in the same room. Cobra goes to play where everyone is. Funda goes to her and kills her in a B-way. She goes to her next friend, who's coming out of the bathroom. She's able to kill her. Nadine, while she's sleeping, feels that the windows open and close, so she gets up to see what is wrong with them. Suddenly, Cobra appears and throws her far away. She traps her between the two sisters and is able to kill her. After that, she goes to Shukran and attacks her, wanting to kill her. At the last moment, Thawat comes and puts something on Cobra's forehead, making her calm down and fainting. They take her to the bedroom and light candles for her. Thawat asks Shukran to bring him some. At this time, Zahida is going to her husband to check on her and sees Shukran running and going down after her to see what is wrong. Shukran is with Tharwat, and then he does rituals and spells on Cobra. Suddenly, Zahida comes in and asks them, "What are you doing?" Tharwat tells Zahida that he wants to talk to her for a minute, and tells her that after his father died, he started working with someone. This is Suleiman, who was helping people who were controlled by jinn, and he was his agent. However, over time, he learned everything from this man and never left him. Suleiman loved him so much that he failed to marry his daughter to him, but he didn't refuse Suleiman any request. He tells her that he was obsessed with the world of jinn. Suddenly, he married a woman from this world on the planet, who was Suleiman's daughter. But when he followed her, she was Suleiman's daughter, and that night, Jannah was born from her. And I knew that this time, they would all be jinn, as we saw at the beginning of the movie. When Tawat saw this, he got scared and took his daughter to an orphanage. I know that his daughter was brought by Tawat 20 years ago, and she is Jo, and Shukran is his niece, and that Shukran was the next one who didn't know everything. And we know that the next place she went to and dug was her mother's grave. And when she grinds it with her back, she says that she saw it when she put the child next to the door. But what he doesn't know is that this girl is her daughter, who was taken from her by the jinn 20 years ago, and that the jinn wants to reward her after all this patience and return her to her. And she returns to Shukran, who is with Kubra, and tells her that she arranged all this for the jinn. The leaves of Bajo's body go to Kubra's body, who is clearly convinced that she is her daughter. And suddenly, we see Kubra get up from Shukran, and she looks happy and says, "Shukran." And after that, we see Kubra sitting sad and ascetic and combing her hair. She goes to Asma and tells her that 3 girls left the house and left messages that they will be her father. These 3 girls were killed by Cobra, and Zahid took them and buried them without anyone knowing, so that no problems would happen. Finally, we see a new girl coming to the house, and she finds out her fate and what will happen to her. This is where the story of the movie ends. If you liked it, don't forget to like and subscribe to the channel and activate the bell button to receive all that is new.